everyone. Welcome back to a day on myBlock. We just took a little break and now we're right back in. We have something new in the mix.
Sorry.
What's going on over
Mark,
here?
I didn't tell you, buddy. I was so excited. I'm like, it's Friday night, so I went and poured myself a little extra añejo tequila. So I finished off the bottle and I poured myself a glass because it's Friday night. So salute to you and everyone in the French Quarter. And just in case I need, backups, I even brought a new bottle down, a little reserve, a little La Familia. So
So we're
that's what I'll
partying.
be sipping on. Yeah, make sure we keep talking about crypto. I might go into like Laker Nation and how we, stole Luka Doncic like 6 months ago. So keep me off that. Keep me off of that. All
Yeah.
right, sorry. We digress. Mark's laughing.
Yeah. Well, I for one was really enjoying the history lesson that you were giving us. So I'd love to jump back into that. So you mentioned that a reset is underway. And my question to you is, how does stablecoin play into that, and which is another cryptocurrency, or does it? Is it unrelated?
Great question. The answer that we're going to come to is there's a 40% to 60% probability that stablecoins figure into the reset and are intertwined with the reset. The first step to get to that answer is to define what is a stablecoin. So let's ask the question, what is a stablecoin? Let's try to answer it together. A stablecoin, here's one possible definition. A stablecoin is a cryptocurrency, which is a digital asset run on a blockchain. Right? A stablecoin is a cryptocurrency whose value is pegged to a government issued currency. So to be clear, a stablecoin uses smart contracts. It runs on a blockchain. It could run on any number of layer one blockchains. You could run a stablecoin on Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Tron, AVAX. Uh, the, the the punchline is a stable coin is pegged in value at all times to a particular government issued currency. So you could have stable coins pegged to the dollar. You could have stable coins pegged to the euro. You could have stable coins pegged to the yen. These all exist. Interesting note, over 90% of stable coins in use are pegged to the dollar. Compare that
Of course they
to
are.
actual Well, compare that to actual currencies where the dollar's dominance is not nearly as high because there's a reset going on and the dollar's on the decline in terms of a global reserve currency. But one more footnote on stable coins is stable coin is a misleading term because stable connotes that the value, the purchasing power of the asset holds even over time. Well, if you're pegging yourself to a government issued currency, your purchasing power is declining over time. The dollar,
Huge
the
to the
euro, the
printing of
yen.
money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The only stable coin in human history is gold. Gold holds its value fairly evenly through centuries and millennia. You needed 1 ounce of gold to buy a fine man's suit in 1850 in London. You needed 1 ounce to buy a fine man's suit in 1950 in the United States. You needed 1 ounce of gold to buy a fine aristocratic tunic in ancient Greece or ancient Rome. So the amount of gold I needed to buy a loaf of bread in the Roman Empire is the same as the amount of gold I need today. So gold is a stable coin over a long timeline.
But can I
Stable
interject there
coin
for a
has a
second, Mark? Can I interject it?
yes, sir.
I have this conversation all the time. And
Yes.
when, as you pulled me in 2021 and I didn't go all the way in and now I'm there with you, not your education, but when I talk about, stable coins and what they mean, I get this all the time. With the volatility of Bitcoin in their minds, right? Because Solana, Ethereum, they're thinking that's too volatile for them. The second I say Well, a stable coin is crypto. But a stable coin, just think of it as a dollar for a dollar. One stable coin equals one US dollar. So if you have $100 in your wallet, or if you have $100 of Tether or Circle in your Phantom wallet, right? It's $100, right? Or if you have $100 in Bank of America or Chase or Citi, it's all $100. Okay. As soon as I say that, then they start to understand it, and then they're more open to crypto.
Yep.
Even though it's attached to the US dollar, all of a sudden, because they just want in their brain, they're thinking stability, right? And that's, we all know where that's going, and that's why the Stablecoin Act was, maybe you could touch on that for a second too in the segment, but and why, we can't get the Democrats and Republicans to agree on anything these days, but they got that passed, right? Because they know
Yes,
the
sir.
importance of what you're saying right now. And what you're saying is not only happening, it already happened, right? And you can maybe get into where Visa was, trillions of dollars, and now stablecoin movement is larger than all that. I know I'm all over the map right now, maybe because I had 2 little sips. I'm sipping on my tequila. But I would like you to touch base on 1 or 2 of those things, because when I do have these conversations with folks that are trying to understand crypto, and it's more and more, right? Every day it's becoming a little bit more, not mainstream, but a little bit more. People are curious. That is the one item, the stable coins, that when you talk about that and you can measure back to the US dollar, all of a sudden it tears down walls, right?
Yes. Well, you're
Yeah.
making an important point. Crypto is going to be 17 years old in January.
Okay.
And in this 17 years, the world hasn't come to adopt it. No one's really running around, using Bitcoin, using stable coins in a major way yet. Stable coins, as you just said, are going to break the glass. Stable coins are the first killer app of crypto where folks are starting to get it, and they're starting to understand, I might need to get one of those. Now, that ties right to Jen's question, which is, if in our previous recording we established that a great reset is underway, and now we're diving into stablecoins and asking, do stablecoins figure into that reset? Here's how that could happen. Going back to the Portugal, Spain, Netherlands, France, on the other side of the reset that is underway right now, there's 3 outcomes that we're going to get, right? After some period of instability, the reset will go in 1 of 3 ways. It will either be there will be a new global reserve currency from a new country, maybe China or India. 2 is the United States might get a new 80-year run and break the rules and break the cycle and say, we had our 80 years, but we're about to get another 80 years. And 3 is there won't be another country that dominates with its currency. It might be just the end of that 500-year chapter, watching that cycle repeat itself 5 times, and we're just going to get a new order entirely, divorced from government, separation of money and country kind of thing. Okay, let's double click on the second one. The United States figures out how to get another 80 years. If that's going to happen, it would be through stablecoins.
Well, you already mentioned what 90% of stablecoin is connected to the US dollar. Was that?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. So out in the world right now, if you go to Thailand, if you go to Africa, if you go to Europe, folks would love to get their hands on a dollar for 1 of 2 reasons. I know we think we're printing it to death and the supply of dollars keeps expanding.
But our
80 years is up. Go to Bangkok tonight. Wave $100 bill. People want a dollar. Why? Because it's the cleanest shirt in a dirty hamper. All the other currencies are far worse. So folks want to get a dollar either to trade or even to save for some period of time, because you don't want an Argentinian peso or a Thai baht or the Turkish lira. Like
You
they're
sent
just
me the article last week, Mark, when you were talking, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a month. You sent me so many things, which is amazing. Because you allow my brain to expand. But you talked about how, I don't know if it was Norway, it's one of the Nordic countries, and it took, they're trying to explain Bitcoin. We're talking about stablecoins, but just as an example. They're trying to explain Bitcoin. They're trying to explain crypto, and it took so long because they didn't get it because their currencies have just never crashed. And you explain it to, let's say, an Argentinian, and the Argentinians, it's not that they're smarter than the people in the Nordic country that you used as an example, but
yes,
the Argentinians have seen their money devalued and be worth nothing. And so the Argentinians, boom, they got it right away. Within 5 minutes,
absolutely.
they understood it. So that's kind of to your point, right?
Right. So go to Argentina, go to Turkey, go to Lebanon, go to Venezuela, go to Zimbabwe, and you don't have to explain why their currency there's a better option. Now, Bitcoin's usually the speech, but we're talking about stablecoins today, particularly stablecoins
Sorry.
pegged to the
I
dollar.
know I threw that.
So no. So stay there. So go to these countries and say, look, would you like a dollar instead of your local currency? Whether for your labor or for whatever. If you're going to earn a dollar, if you're going to earn payment for your time, would you rather be paid in your own currency or a dollar? They would all rather have a dollar, but they can't access a dollar. It's very hard outside of the United States to get your hands on a dollar. In Japan and Europe, not that hard, but the further away you go, it's harder.
Yeah.
But they all want
But
one.
unless they have if they have a stable coin, they have a dollar.
There you go. A stable coin, okay, opens up a barrier.
That's it.
Removes a barrier. If you have a phone, you can get a stable coin. Now, who loves this? Who loves what I just said?
We do, the US.
Oh, I don't know. Democrats, Republicans, Trump. It's like, wait a minute.
They agreed on something. It's amazing.
We could get they're watching the dollar in decline. They know history. They know Spain had 80 years. They know our 80 years are over.
Are you sure those politicians know history, Mark? Are you positive?
Well,
you're being very kind, you're being very generous right now.
Here's what they do know. They do know that the printing of dollars is bonkers, or as Liam Neeson might call it, bananas, right? The printing of the amount of dollars printed in the last 5 years is like half of the dollars ever printed in the past 100 years. Okay, so if you're a politician and you're a bit of a meathead, you understand that. But supply of dollars, printing, debasement. We talked about it with the Romans. We talked about it with the Spanish. We're talking about the U.S. An enormous supply of dollars that's getting printed into oblivion is only half the story. If I look at the other half of the story and the demand for dollars, what if no matter how many dollars there are, and no matter how many dollars were printed, the demand for dollars is even greater? Mm-hmm. Well, wouldn't the value of the dollar go up? Mm-hmm. So there is demand for dollars, and it's unbelievable. But how do I get that demand to access a dollar, which was impossible before stablecoins? I just make it accessible on a phone. So that checks one huge box for the United States, which is, wait a minute, whether we're printing or not, the folks can now get their hands on a dollar, which means the demand for dollars gets expressed. Mm-hmm. And no matter what the supply of dollars is, the dollar is not necessarily going to decline in value and purchasing power. It might stay even or go up. We might get another 80 years. There's one more box to check, which is treasuries. Now, what's a treasury if you're in 8th grade? A treasury is a treasury is a dollar. It's just a dollar that you can't get to for a few more years because you locked it up as a loan to the government, and you're going to get some interest. The government, as we talked about in the past, in our previous recording, governments print money. Governments issue debt to pay their bills, right? To build schools and roads and fight wars, whether you're the Romans or the U.S. and you issue this debt, but how do you pay the debt? You print. Okay, let's go back to the debt. If you're issuing debt, you do need people to buy your debt. Every time the US wants to build a tank, they don't have the money for it. So they print a treasury, which is a loan, and they say, someone please buy this treasury. Give me money now. Give me cash now. You can hold this treasury. I'll pay you back in a few years. Forget how. I'll probably print it for you, but just take. The biggest purchasers of treasuries are, Japan, China, but countries in the world are who?
Japanese. They're
right.
one.
However, and this goes back to Bretton Woods, right? The countries of everyone in the world said, I want to save my hard-earned work in treasuries because the US will pay me back and it holds value. However, the purchasing of treasuries is precipitously declining. Countries of the world that used to buy treasuries, they're now buying gold. Just this past week, countries of the world are holding more gold than treasuries for the first time in decades. So the US has a crisis. People are not buying the treasuries. If no one's buying the treasuries, how are we going to pay for the next tank? How are we going to pay for the next school? Aha! Stablecoin issuers have become enormous purchasers of treasuries. They might actually replace China and Japan.
Yeah.
Tether
how many employees? Tether has 100 employees and they're worth what?
100 employees.
What are they
Billions.
worth?
They're worth more than Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, exactly.
But why is
we can talk about this topic for 10 hours, right? I know you can, and I have so many questions for you. This is mind blowing. That's why I'm drinking tequila, and not just Friday night, just because I need to bring my brain down a little bit, because you amplify my brain cells, bud.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important, and I know some people maybe don't want to dig in so deep, and that's why we appreciate you've done the background work on all of this, and you're bringing it to us and making it entertaining. So thank you. But learning about the history of all of these things is so key. I I got to visit my family over the summer, and while I was traveling, I read The Richest Man in Babylon. And as many of you know who have read it, it's, from eons ago in this world of Babylon, and just the way that they thought about money and used money and made, things that, existed really just because they were creative enough and intelligent enough to make them happen. And I think a lot of people, especially in, maybe kind of a little more privileged, and don't have to think about money, don't have to worry about it. But there's a lot of people that just kind of don't really pay attention to what's going on. And I think COVID potentially was maybe a trigger for people to start paying attention more globally to what is actually going on. And obviously you have, a lot of entities and governments and, just companies that are really kind of dialed in to what is actually going on and trying to figure out, well, how do I make money work for me? And this is a way that is, maybe not everybody has really figured out how to make stable coins work, but there are a lot of people, a lot of entities, a lot of governments, banks, all of these things coming together that are like, hey, this is real, this is happening, this is something that we all need to pay attention to. So I just want to say thank you for giving us that history and that explanation, because I think it's really important for a lot of people who, whether they're just kind of curious about the cryptocurrency world or they're already dialed in and this just gave them a deeper dive. I think that was important. And we'll take a break and come back, but that was amazing. So thank you.
I'm just Mark. I don't. I use Blinkist, so she's still reading. I just listen to stuff when I'm driving around town or I'm working out. So at least somebody's still reading.
Yeah.
I'm learning as I'm listening because my bandwidth isn't all there.
It was on Audible, so definitely still listening.
That is a great, my youngest kid. I told Sophie about the richest man in Babylon, and then of course because of her age, she immediately says, "Well, we don't really know if all that happened, Dad." And then she goes,
"Oh boy!"
And I said, "Well, at least my kid is learning and thinking outside the box and is challenging me, which is good. But the constant challenge is cute. So there's that. Anyway, I'll be quiet, but thank you, Jen, for that.
Yeah.
That was good information.
All right. Well,
Sorry, Mark, I know I just bored you again.
We'll be back soon. We'll come back to the
well, I want to touch on one more thing because I think it's important we could tie this in because we need to tie it back to myBlock.
Okay.
And we talk about the stable coins, Mark, and maybe can you come back for one more segment because I want to talk to you about what we talk about all the time, and what we talk about all the time is volatility and stability, and we know that the real estate piece will bring the stability piece of it, and maybe you touch on the overall value overall in the world. I think it's $900 trillion dollars that are in US dollars that are kind of out there, and real estate is a pretty big portion of that. And maybe we touch base on that on the next segment if you have an extra 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe talk about how myBlock is providing a destination for your stable coins, right? Because if in theory, if you have $100 in a traditional bank, doesn't matter which bank it is, you're earning less than, let's say, I don't know what, 0.25%, 0.5%, whatever it is on your checking or savings or whatever you're doing. And if you have your stable coins, you need destinations for your stable coins. And what better place, a destination for your stable coins than a prime piece of property, a building in an appreciating market such as real estate. And so I would like for you to touch a little bit on that, maybe for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up on this overall history lesson and kind of what stable coins are all about and how it ties back to myBlock. So can we grab you for another extra couple minutes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. No more Laker Nation talk. No more tequila talk. Sorry.
I think the tequila will be gone in the next segment.
No, I have a refill coming.
Okay.
Everybody relax.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys soon. We'll be right back.
Thanks, bud.